Be fearless. Scanning the area.
Champion double kill.
What is up? Gear Squad Chain Gear here, bringing you another video, and today it's finally time to talk about Apex Legends. But I don't want to talk about the game just in the way that it is right now. You know, everybody knows Apex Legends is really good. Now I'm going to come out with a first impressions video, so if you really want to know how I feel about Apex Legends, all of the different pieces and components and parts of it, don't worry, there's going to be a video that's coming out about that soon. But right now, I want to talk about the future of Apex Legends. Because just because a game is good, or I like it, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to live forever. RIP BLR, RIP Lawbreakers, RIP Paragon. A lot of great games that have all died. Now this is very different. This game has 25 million plus people playing it. It's a really big game that came out of nowhere. It's made by the creators of Titanfall, Respawn, and it's honestly, it's really, really good. I'm not gonna say it's flawless, but it's really, really good. But like I said, is it going to keep my attention? Is it gonna keep your attention? That's what we're gonna talk about today. So first of all, I wanna start by talking about the future that has already been set up for Apex Legends. They actually showed us a roadmap, and it shows that there's going to be at least 4 different kind of drops of content, and I believe the first one's coming in March. And I'm really, really excited to see what this kind of stuff, you know, what these drops of content really bring to us. We know that they're going to bring us new legends. You know, obviously that's a big part of the game. There's 8 different legends right now, and it's pretty varied in terms of how you can play. That's for sure. But there's not that much, you know, for example, there's only 2 like defense heroes, and you know, out of the 8. So I'm sure they're going to add a defense hero. You know, I'm sure more people want support heroes. They will also want more ways to slay. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of legends they bring into the game. That's probably the biggest thing for us. But they also mentioned they're going to bring in new weapons. So it's easy to kind of tell what weapons they might bring in by just looking at the Titanfall universe and seeing, are there any other weapons in Titanfall that haven't been brought in? Or are there any other weapon archetypes that are just missing from the game overall? Otherwise, it might be a little bit difficult for us to, you know, figure out what kind of weapons there are. But there are so many, you know, games out there where you can say, well, this kind of weapon is missing and this kind of weapon is missing. They might even put something in crazy like a bow or a crossbow or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. They're also supposed to bring new like items into the game, kind of like Fortnite does. You guys have seen, like, you know, they bring in like the chug jug or maybe really big like ways to play. Like for example, I think they just added like vehicles and stuff like that into Fortnite. Obviously, I'm not much of a Fortnite player, but in Apex, you never know what they're going to do. But anyway, you guys can see here the roadmap and what they plan to do with it. But my question is it enough? Is it going to be enough that every quarter they're going to go ahead and drop us a brand new legend, and that's going to be, you know, what's the big game changer? Everyone's going to want to play that legend. You know, does it really make that big of a difference? Has it worked for Overwatch? Has it worked for games like Paladins? And this game is just Battle Royale. There aren't multiple game modes. So it's really going to be interesting to see if that's going to be enough. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, obviously we know what's coming up because of this roadmap. We don't know exactly the things, but what are some of the things that you guys want to see from Apex Legends? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Are you guys interested in seeing new legends? If so, what kind? And is there anything else you want to see in the game? Because this next list is all about the things that I want to see in Apex Legends, as well as some things that I've talked to the community about and my friends that I play with. Shout out to Mex, shout out to Ruby, shout out to Scarlet, Sunshine, etc. You guys know who you are. I've had a blast playing this game recently, and there are a lot of things that we all want from it. So here's a list of things that I'm excited to see from this game. So the first thing I want to talk about are new modes. I know this might come as like a bit of a surprise to some of you because you're like, whoa, hold up. This is a Battle Royale game. Get out of here. This isn't Team Deathmatch. You know, this isn't Call of Duty Zombies, you know, but I actually really would love to see PvE of some sort. I would mostly like PvPvE, and if you guys haven't seen a game mode like that, Titanfall 2 actually has a game mode where it's PvP, but there's also PvE. These little dropships come down, and these bots basically come out, and you can kill them for points. And in this case, you would kill them for ammunition, you might kill them for loot and things like that. I think it would be really cool. Call of Duty already does this with Blackout. They have zombies on the map, and instead of having zombies, you could have bots out there that are kind of running around or maybe defending a location, and you can go ahead and kind of pick them off. But obviously, if you want to do that, there might be really great loot in there, but if you do that, everyone's going to know where you are. And so PvPvE, I think, would be really, really cool to see. Of course, the sandbox is so cool that I would love to just see a PvE in general. And overall, I think a great way to do that would be bots. Maybe you're just not that good at the game yet, or you just want to practice a little bit. And so you just want to go ahead and go out there with some bots and kill those folks instead. Or maybe it's a smaller portion of the map or something like that. But I think that could be pretty cool. So speaking of playing with bots, especially when it comes to learning, the tutorial in this game is, to me, mediocre at best. You play the game only as Lifeline, who's one of my favorite characters, but you don't get to try out really that many of any of her abilities. You do get to use them, but you don't really get to kind of play around with them, and that's the same with any of the other characters. Any of the other legends, you don't have the ability to practice with their abilities. Sometimes you just need to know how the character works, right? So I'm hoping that that's something that they might do in the future. I would really like to see that. I'd also like to see attachments involved in the tutorial. Attachments can be really confusing sometimes. You go in and you have your weapon, and the weapons are already a little bit confusing if you didn't take the time in the tutorial. But if you just see all these attachments on the ground, you're like, well, does this work for my gun, or does this not work for my gun? And does this scope better than this scope? And how does the bullet drop off work? But if you play in the tutorial, which has all of these different ways for you to go up on top of a rooftop and see, how much damage does my bullet do, if I'm really far away, or, is this, gun better for short range or close range or whatever, right? But if you have the attachments, you can test all that out as well. But for some reason, they didn't have that in there, and I think it would be pretty cool. And I know it takes a little bit away from the, there's mystery kind of involved, Every time you open a box, you're like, oh, okay, does this work with my gun or not? But, that's going to happen anyway, right? At high levels, once the game's out for long enough, everybody's going to know what everything does. It would just be nice if we could go in and practice with them and kind of learn, for us, what's best. So that's definitely one big thing for me. And the last thing for the tutorials would be how to deploy. I think deploying isn't the easiest thing to do. I think if you know, you know, but if you don't, sometimes you just always relinquish being the drop master. And I don't know. I think that would be kind of cool to show as well. Maybe drop into the tutorial and let them show you how to drop in. But, anyway, I think that's enough for the tutorial part. Another thing that I want, I'd love to see is stats on the weapons. So in Titanfall 2, they actually showed statistics for each weapon in terms of, not the statistics, but the details of each weapon, the range, the damage, and things like that. But for some reason in this game, they just don't do it at all. They don't show you any numbers at all, which I understand why a game might do that. Destiny doesn't give you numbers, but it gives you bars. And the reason that they give you bars is because they don't want you to think about the numbers. They want you to think about how the gun feels. But at the end of the day, we all tried to figure out the numbers anyway. So if you're a high-level Destiny player, you know the amount of damage that it takes to kill a specific Guardian and what weapon you're going to use. That's the same for all these other games that we use at high levels of play. So the fact that they just don't show us the numbers off the bat kind of bothers me, and I really hope that that's something that they change. Speaking of weapons, I'd like to see new weapons, and I'm sure that you guys do as well. So again, let me know in the comment section down below what kind of weapons you'd like to see. For me, I'd like to see melee weapons. I think Anthony Eintaxi recommended this, and I completely agree with him. Some melee weapons would be really, really cool, especially for some of the more faster moving characters, or the ones that have abilities that let you, move a little bit faster, or things like that. So, maybe just like a machete or something like that. So when you are in those close-up situations, situations, you have to be really careful, and then that risk reward is really high, right? Maybe it's like a 2-hit kill, or maybe even a 1-hit kill, depending on the weapon, and you could really just jump in there. I'd like to see some weapons that are a little bit more archaic, like a bow or a crossbow or something like that. That's just a personal thing. Otherwise, I don't have too many thoughts on weapons. Maybe the ability to dual wield pistols would be cool. That could be a legend, and I'd love to know what kind of legends you guys would want to see as well, because I haven't really taken too much time to think about, oh, what kind of legends would I see, and things like that. But that's pretty much it, guys. I think that's the list for right now. The only other thing is bug fixes. I don't know if you guys are having bug issues as well. If you're jumping onto the ship, sometimes the ship is a little buggy, especially if you get downed. Sometimes you just fly off while the ship just keeps going. Or, you know, sometimes you drop a weapon and the weapon goes flying off. So there's a little bit bugginess with the ship. And then there's also bugs with the lobbying. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. You know, you like start the game and maybe one of your friends was with you and then they're not. Or you end the game and someone just can't quit the game, or maybe your whole game crashes or the whole PS4 freezes. I've had issues with that as well. And if you guys have been having those issues and you have fixes to them, let us know, because that has been a real big struggle for us. But either way, guys, this is what I think would be awesome to see for the future of Apex Legends. So please, once more, let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys want to see? I'd love to do videos about new content that you guys want to see for Apex Legends. So let me know in that comment section below. Leave a like if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it. But of course, and as always, can't wait to see you guys in the next video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
This is where it